been a little while since we did a commander deck tech, but I've got a new one here for you today. This is a commander from Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate. From one of the precons, actually. This is not the face commander, but this is the secondary commander from the party time pre-constructed deck. So this is kind of like an upgrade of that deck, but there are quite a few different cards in here. So this one is going to be a black-white deck. The commander here is Burakos, or Burakos. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce this name. I feel like there's a lot of different ways you could pronounce it, but anyway, we got Burakos Obama here. And for the background, we're using this folk hero. So this could be black and any color, since you can choose any color background you'd like, but this is going to be a black-white deck, because I feel like that combination works quite well with the party mechanic here, which is what this deck is built around. And also, the folk hero in particular, I feel like is probably one of the best backgrounds, so we're going with this one. Let's take a look at this card though. It's a 4 mana 2/4 legendary creature, Orc. However, also it counts as a cleric, rogue, warrior, and wizard. So this will count as automatically any one of the creature types that you need for your party. Also, when it attacks, defending player loses X life, and you create X treasure tokens, where X is the number of creatures in your party. So basically, we want to have as many creatures in our party as possible, a maximum of 4, and we want to be attacking with this creature. What does the folk hero do though? It's a legendary enchantment background for 2 mana. And it says commander creatures you own have, whenever you cast a spell that shares a creature type with this creature, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. So since our commander is an orc, as well as a cleric, rogue, warrior, and wizard, basically whenever we cast a creature spell, we're going to be drawing a card if we have these 2 cards in play. So the idea is to get these 2 cards out, have a full party if possible, and then be attacking with this card to start draining our opponents to death, as well as creating treasure tokens to help us along the way. So we're going to take a look at some of the creatures that we'll use to start filling up our party. Just before we do that though, if you'd like to possibly purchase any of the cards you see in this video, you can get those by heading on over to the sponsor of this channel, Face to Face Games. Use code 8thPlaceDave to save 5% on your order at Face to Face Games, Canada's largest Magic the Gathering store, where qualified orders receive free shipping Canada-wide. Support the channel and visit facetofacegames.com today. So once we start attacking with our commander, which is a 4-drop, ideally we'd like to have a few creatures in our party so that we can start getting value off this ability, which means that we'll want some early creatures that we can play that will fill up the party requirements. So we're starting off with the 1-drops here. This is a Viscera Seer, a 1 mana 1/1. You can sack a creature and scry 1. Mostly we're playing this because it's a wizard, so it counts for party, and it's a 1-drop, but this is a very useful ability to have. So, you know, kind of we can just throw this out on turn 1 or maybe turn 2. If we start attacking with this, that automatically will start drawing an opponent for 2, because this would be a wizard, and this would fill up one of the other party members. But then also, just the ability to sack a creature and scry 1 is quite useful to have just as kind of a value thing that we can use at any point in the game. Next we've got this Weathered Wayfarer. This is another 1-drop 1/1. This is a cleric this time though. And we can pay a white and tap it to search our library for a land, reveal it and put it into our hand. Activate only if an opponent controls more lands than you. So this doesn't quite ramp us, but it fixes the mana so well because we can search for any land in our deck. It doesn't have to be a basic, and there are quite a few utility lands in this deck, so I feel like this card is quite good to have. We've got a Mother of Runes, very classic card. It's a 1/1 cleric for 1. We can tap to give a creature we control protection from the color of our choice until end of turn. Usually I imagine it would be our commander, because this wants to be attacking, so we could give it protection from whatever color opponent's playing, so that it can attack in successfully without dying. We've got a Changeling Outcast. It's a 1-drop 1/1. The important thing about this is that it's a shapeshifter though, so it counts as any one of the party types. Also, it can't block or be blocked, so you can get in some sneaky damage with this thing. For another 1-drop, we've got this Blood-Soaked Champion. It's a 1-drop warrior. It's a 2/1. It can't block, however it has the raid ability. So if we've attacked this turn, you can pay 1 and a black to return it from your graveyard to the battlefield. So it's some nice recursion there, kind of a sticky threat to keep our party full. Very similar to the Blood-Soaked Champion is this Tenacious Underdog, but I feel like this card is much better actually. So it's a 2 mana 3/2 human warrior. You could just play it as a 3/2 for 2, which would be fine, but it also has this Blitz ability, so you can pay 2 and 2 black, as well as 2 life, so 4 mana and 2 life. And that means when you cast this for its Blitz cost, it gains haste, and also when it dies, draw a card, and you sacrifice it at the beginning of next end step. But you can cast this from your graveyard using its Blitz ability, so it's another recursive creature that counts for party that we can just keep on casting from the graveyard, and we'll draw a card every time it dies if we use the Blitz cost. So I'm a pretty big fan of this card, actually. Here's a 2-mana Cleric, Selfless Spirit. It's a 2/1 flyer. We can sacrifice it to give our creatures indestructible until end of turn. A Dranith Magistrate. This card is kind of one of the annoying ones in some decks in Commander, but it is a very good 2-drop that counts for party. So it's a wizard, a 1/3, but it says your opponent can't cast spells from anywhere other than their hands, which means if this is in play, your opponents can't cast their commanders because commanders are cast from the command zone, not from their hands. Here's a new card that comes in the Party Time Precon, the Deep Gnome Terramancer, 2/2 for 2 with Flash, but it says whenever one or more lands enter the battlefield under opponent's control without being played, you may search your library for a Plains card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Do it only once each turn. So basically when your opponent ramps, if they're going to use a rampant growth or anything like that, you can use this to also ramp yourself, and notably it says search for a Plains, not a basic Plains, so you can look for things like Godless Shrine and those all the other cards that have the Plains type. Another new card from Baldur's Gate, Archivist of Ogma. This is a 2/2 for 2 with Flash. Whenever opponent searches their library, you gain a life and draw a card. So it's another one of these kind of hate bear type of cards, but it's a very popular one for white decks out of the new set here. This is a card here that is not one of the party types. I believe this is the first one we've come across so far that doesn't count for any of the party types, but it's a very good card regardless. It's just basically in here for a good graveyard hate card. It's very similar to Scavenging Ooze, but this is an equipment / a creature that we can use to repeatedly eat cards out of our opponent's graveyard while growing this, so I feel like it's definitely worth an inclusion. Want to have some amount of graveyard hate in the deck. We've got an opposition agent in here because it does fulfill the party type with Rogue once again. But this is, a very popular card for Commander in black, so, even if we weren't playing party, we probably would be playing this over playing a black creature deck anyway, so definitely want the opposition agent. Here is the face commander from the Party Time deck. So basically I've swapped these commanders out. So I am playing both of them, just I'm using the secondary commander as the main commander for this deck. But it is still a good card. It's a 3/3 for 3 that can get us some card advantage by letting us cast Cleric, Rogue Warrior, and Wizard spells from the top of our library. So I feel like it's definitely worth an inclusion. Just I think this is more fun of a card to play as our commander. Here's a Morbid Opportunist. This one is a rogue, and it's a really good card advantage card because we can get, assuming a creature would die every turn, this can draw us 4 cards per turn cycle, which is pretty nuts on this 3-drop here. Here's this Mirror Entity. This card is super good for this deck. So it's a 1/1 for 3, which kind of sucks, but it's a changeling, so it counts for every creature type, which is great for party. But we can pay X, and then until end of turn, creatures we control have base power and toughness XX until end of turn, but they also gain all creature types. So if we have 4 creatures in play, this can just make our party instantly full by making all of our creatures all creature types. Here's a Mage's Attendant. 3 mana, 3/2. It's just basically a very good value card. Also, this card gives us 2 creatures in one that notably have different party types. So this is the Rogue, and it makes a 1/1 Wizard token. And also the Wizard is pretty good too. We can sacrifice it to counter a non-creature spell unless the opponent pays 1. It's an Inspiring Overseer. This one is a Cleric, but some life gain and card draw on a creature seems pretty good to me. Got an Aven Mind Sensor. This one is another one of the taxes / hate bears type of cards, but it is one of the party types. It is a wizard, so I feel like it works pretty well in this deck. Academy Manufactor. Here's one that is not a party type. It's an assembly worker, but this card is super good in this deck. So it says if you would create a clue, food, or treasure token, instead create 1 of each. So with our commander, its thing is that we drain the opponent and make treasure tokens. So say we attack with this and we have a full party, we would normally drain an opponent for 4 and then make 4 treasures. But if we have Academy Manufactor in play, we'd make 4 treasures, 4 clues, and 4 foods. Seems pretty good, I think. Moving up to the 4 drops, I like this card a lot, Twilight Prophet. I play this in my Sig deck just because it's kind of a value card, but it is also a cleric, so it counts for party, so it's a good way to get some card advantage and also drain the opponents out. Notably, it says each opponent, so you can just drain all your opponents out at once with this. The Seasons Dungeoneer, this is another one of the new cards from the pre-con. This card does a lot of things, so it allows us to take the initiative. Also, when we attack, a target attacking cleric, rogue, warrior, or wizard gains protection from creatures until end of turn. So chances are what we would do is use this to allow our commander to attack in undefended. And also, it explores, so it does kind of 3 things in one. It's a very good card, I think. Got a Ruthless Technomancer out of Kamigawa there. This is a wizard, so it counts for party, but works very well with treasure strategies, which this deck is. You know, it allows us to create treasures as well as use those treasures or artifacts in general to recur some creatures out of our graveyard. This is a Giza, Glorious Resurrector from Innistrad Midnight Hunt. So this one accounts for party, it's a wizard, but this is another graveyard hate card. I like this card quite a lot actually, because it's one where you can just kind of play this card and let the game play out, and chances are it'll be pretty good, because it has this nice static effect. If a creature an opponent controls would die, exile it instead. Then, at the beginning of your upkeep, put all creature cards exiled with Giza, Glorious Resurrector, onto the battlefield under your control. They gain Decayed. So, you know, it not only is a graveyard hate, it also allows us to reuse our opponent's creatures. We got this Alms Collector. This is another one of the taxes type of cards, but it's a cleric, so it counts for party, and, you know, just stops our opponents from going nuts and drawing tons of cards. Instead, if they would draw 2 or more cards, they draw a card and we draw a card, so it could be very useful, I feel like, in a lot of situations. There's a Puppeteer Clique here. This is another one that allows us to use our opponent's creatures out of the graveyard, and also it's a wizard, so fits pretty well in this deck. This one, Deathbringer Liege, it's not any of the party types, but I feel like it's very good in a black-white deck. So we just got this reprinted in Double Masters 2 here. But other white creatures we control get +1/+1. Other black creatures we control get +1/+1. So that means also if we have a creature that is black and white, it gets +2/+2. Like, for example, this one here, the Face Commander from the Party Time deck. But the part about this card that I really like is whenever we cast a white spell, we can tap a creature, and whenever we cast a black spell, we can destroy target creature if it's tapped. So this kind of turns all of our black spells into kind of removal spells, assuming our opponent has tapped creatures. Or we can tap it with a white spell and then destroy it with a black one. Or if you cast a spell that's black and white, you can just destroy an opponent's creature. Marionette Master here doesn't count for party, but this is one that allows us to really close the game out. So since the thing with this deck is we want to make a lot of treasures, works pretty great for Marionette Master. So it has Fabricate 3, so it enters the battlefield. You can either put 3 +1/+1 counters on this or make 3 1/1 servos. I feel like most of the time you would want to be putting +1/+1 counters on this, because also it says whenever an artifact you control is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, target opponent loses life equal to Marionette Master's power. So if you Fabricate 3, this is going to become a 4/6, and at that point it means whenever you sacrifice a treasure, you get to make an opponent lose 4 life. So you can just, you know, you don't even need that many treasures at that point just to take out one of your opponents. And then up at the very top of the curve here, there's Butcher of Malik here. Big 7-drop here, but it's a warrior, so it counts for party. And it's just one of these cards that's very popular in Commander. It's basically like a Dictative Erebos type of effect on a stick. But whenever Butcher of Malik here or another creature we control dies, each opponent sacrifices a creature, so, you know, a very powerful effect to have in play. Just going to make some room here as we move on from the creature spells, and also get another nice look at this playmat here. This playmat in particular has been provided by Dragon Shield, and I do have an affiliate link for Dragon Shield, so if you're interested in making any purchases from Dragon Shield, you can follow my affiliate link in the video description below, and you'll help out the channel while also getting some great supplies. I'm also using today these eucalyptus dual matte sleeves from Dragon Shield, which I think are pretty awesome actually. They're very nice and sleek with the, the black interior and the nice bright back. I'm a pretty big fan of these dual matte sleeves. And once again, if you follow my affiliate link, you can get those sleeves from Dragon Shield. Moving on from the creatures though, we've got some removal here in the form of Swords to Plowshares, as well as Anguish Unmaking, Utter End, as well as Generous Gift. And then we have some kind of utility type of spells here. There's an Akroma's Will. I'm a pretty big fan of this card. So it's a 4-mana instant. It says choose one. If you control a commander as you cast this spell, you may choose both. Creatures you control gain Flying, Vigilance, Double Strike until end of turn, or creatures you control gain Lifelink, Indestructible, and Protection from all colors until end of turn. So if we have our commander out and we cast this, there's a pretty good chance we can just swing through and win, because that is a lot of bonuses to give to our creatures, and the fact that we can do it at instant speed is pretty big as well. I like this card a lot. There's an Ink Shield here. I feel like this is one of the cards that should go in basically every deck that's playing black and white just because it's so good. So it's kind of like a 5-mana Fog, but it's also kind of like a 5-mana Win the Game, because it's an instant that says prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to you this turn. For each 1 damage prevented this way, create a 2/1 white and black Inkling creature token with Flying. So there are a lot of times where if your opponent's going to try and make a big attack in on you, you could just cast this and then not block. This will prevent all the damage, and then you'll get so many Inkling creatures and they have Flying, that you could just swing back on your turn and win the game. Got a Deadly Disputing here. It's just some very efficient card draw as well as ramp. I've got a couple tutors in this deck. I could be playing quite a few more if I wanted to make it as powerful as it could be, but the ones that I've chosen are Vampiric Tutor and Coveted Prize. So Vampiric Tutor, I mean, it kind of speaks for itself. It's a very, very much a staple in Commander, but Coveted Prize is cool because it works well with exactly this theme, the party theme. So it costs 1 less for each creature on our party, so it could potentially be basically a 1-mana Demonic Tutor with upside, because it says search your library for a card, put it into your hand. If you have a full party, you can cast a spell with converted mana cost 4 or less from your hand without paying its mana cost. And it's pretty easy to get a full party in this deck, so this card seems like kind of insane in this deck. Got a few Wrath effects in here. Not as many as I could be playing, because there are so many good ones in black and white, but we're playing Toxic Deluge. Stick Together. This is a pretty cool one for this deck, basically designed for the party mechanic. Each player chooses a party from among creatures they control, then sacrifices the rest. So a lot of time, this might read each opponent sacrifices all the creatures, because there's a pretty good chance that they might not have any creature types for party in play. There's Austere Command as well, and then Farewell. So 4 Wraths, kind of a lot, but at the same time, there are a lot of good Wraths that we're also not playing in this deck. So as this is a black and white deck, it means we're not playing green, so since we don't have access to the nice green ramp, we're going to have to rely on Artifact ramp to get us there, so there's quite a bit of that. There's Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, Orzhov Signet, Talisman of Hierarchy, Mind Stone, as well as Archaeomancer's Map. You'll notice I'm not playing things like Mana Crypt and Mox Diamond and Mana Vault and those kind of things. Obviously, if you wanted to power up the deck more, you could be playing those, but I'm intentionally not playing this as a fully powered up deck. Strionic Resonator is kind of perfect for this commander because it triggers on attack, so Resonator says you can pay 2 and tap this to copy a triggered ability you control. I can choose new targets for the copy, so the whole point of this being in the deck is to copy the trigger that this gets when it attacks. I would like to be able to put in effects that give me extra attack phases. That would be great for this commander, but the thing is those effects really are a red thing. So I feel like if you swapped out the white for red with one of the red backgrounds, that could work really well with this commander. But going with the black-white version, you don't really get access to those kind of effects. Maskwood Nexus, another card that's kind of perfect for the deck because it makes all of our creatures all creature types. So this can just kind of instantly make us have a full party. This is a cool one. It's a new card out of the pre-con that this came from. Just a 1 mana equipment. Equipped creature has lifelink if you control a cleric, death touch if you control a rogue, haste if you control a warrior, and flying if you control a wizard. Also, if you have a full party, prevent all damage that would be dealt to equipped creature. So this card does a lot for just 1 mana and 2 to equip. This is one that I'm quite excited about. And as the deck is built around a commander that wants to attack, we're playing both Lightning Greaves and Swiftfoot Boots because we want our commander to have haste as well as hexproof/shroud. Same idea for Whisper Silk Cloak, this one even makes the commander unblockable. And I'm a pretty big fan of swords in general, so I'm playing a few of them in here, once again because the deck's built around a commander that wants to attack. So we've got Sword of the Animist and Sword of Hearth and Home. These are ones that I find myself playing in almost every commander deck that I play that's not green anyway, because they're just such good cards for getting repeatable ramp. But then there's also Sword of Feast and Famine here. It's, arguably the best sword, maybe either the best or the second best, but we're playing 3 of the swords in this deck. Honestly, I kind of want to be playing more, but at this point I've just got these 3. Got just a few enchantments. There's a land tax here to make sure we're not missing our land drops. Black Market Connections, one of the new cards that's all the hotness because it is very good. A lot of the time it's just a better Phyrexian Arena, which is pretty awesome. Smothering Tithe because we're playing Commander and we're playing white. Revel in Riches, one of my pet cards. I like playing this in any deck that I play that runs black, but this is also a black deck that is built around treasures, so pretty perfect to play Revel in Riches in this deck. Now we're going to move on to the lands. There's a couple of the spell lands, as I like to call them here. The ones with a spell on one side and a land on the other. So we've got Malakir Rebirth, just a very cheap one at 1 mana to kind of save one of our creatures. Then also Emeria's Call. It could be pretty good late in the game, but more often than not I see myself just playing this as the land side. And then there's also a few utility lands here. So we've got Castle Lochthwain for some card draw. Got Igonjo for removal. Mutavault. This is pretty cool because it's all creature types, so it can definitely help with party. There's this Takenuma. For these 2 here, for pretty much all of the Kamigawa lands, they're basically free inclusions, so why not put them in the deck, right? I just take out a swamp or a plains. But aside from being free inclusions, they do have very useful effects. There's a Vault of the Archangel. Give our creatures Death Touch and Lifelink until end of turn. And a War Room, some more card draw here. And then the rest are just mana producing lands, so dual lands as well as rainbow lands, I guess. So Bright Climb Pathway, Caves of Koilos, Command Tower, Concealed Courtyard, Exotic Orchard, Fetid Heath, Godless Shrine, using the old school one here, Isolated Chapel, the on-color fetches, well, the one on-color fetch, and then the Fabled Passage here, Path of Ancestry, Shattered Sanctum, Shine, Shadow, Snarl, Silent Clearing, Snowfield, Sinkhole, Tainted Field, Vault of Champions, and then a few plains and swamps, and I've chosen to go on theme here and use the D&D basics. I am a fan of some of the fancy full art ones, but it only seemed appropriate to use the D&D ones that have the cool quotes on here for this D&D commander. And that's the deck. I think it's pretty cool. As I said, I looked through all of the precons for the new Commander Legends Baldur's Gate set, and this one by far stuck out the most to me. If you're a fan of decks where the idea is you want to be attacking with your commander or making treasure tokens, I think this is a really cool one that you might want to try out. So what we're going to do here now is do a bit of gold fishing. We'll just draw an opening hand and then kind of play out kind of theoretical first few turns. I haven't done this in the past with my deck techs, but people have requested it, and I've seen some other channels, like Vex MTG is one where he does this with his deck techs, and it's kind of cool to watch, so we'll try this out here. So let's say this is our opening 7. Let's take a look. It's pretty good to me. Let's see. We got land, land, land. 3 lands is nice to have. Lightning Greaves, nice equipment. Turn 1 Soul Ring. I mean, who doesn't want that? Lion Sash. It's not a party member, but is very good. We do have a 1-drop party member as well, though. So 100% I would keep this hand. So assuming we're playing a multiplayer game, we would draw, even if we're going first. What do we got here? Giza. That's a good card to play, too. So some options on turn 1 already. We could go turn 1 Soul Ring Lightning Greaves. or maybe just turn 1 Mother of Runes. I don't know, I'm kind of feeling the turn 1 Soul Ring Lightning Greaves here. That seems pretty good to me, so we'll use Swamp to play Soul Ring, tap Soul Ring for 2, get Lightning Greaves in play. Seems pretty good to me. So then it comes back to our turn 2. We'll draw. Even Mind Sensor, that's pretty good. It's a 3 mana party member. So we've already got, what's this? Wizard and Cleric, that's 2 party members, and then our commander here would make 3. So, options already. We've got 1, 2, 3, potentially 4 mana available. We're just going to play our commander here. So in that case, we didn't need to play the Godless Shrine, could save 2 life and just play Bright Climb Pathway instead. Get our commander in play, equip it, and then attack in. Yeah, that seems like a pretty good turn 2 to me. So we currently only have 1 party member, which means that a defending player is going to lose 1 life from this, as well as 2 life from the damage here, assuming they take the damage. But we're also going to get 1 treasure token here, so continuing with the ramp already. So it comes back to our turn 3. We'll untap everything, draw. What do we got here? Command Tower. It's a pretty good land to get. So at this point, we can kind of start really snowballing with our commander's ability. Probably go Command Tower as the land. And then what have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana already on turn 3. So we could go, let's see, we could even maybe get this thing into play. There are quite a few options at this point, as you can see. And when you goldfish at this point, it kind of gets difficult to goldfish accurately because it really depends on what your opponents are doing in order for you to make the right play. But let's just maybe play out this one last turn here and see what we might be able to do. Okay, so here's a line that I think is pretty cool. So we could go add a white, and actually here's what we'll do. We'll have 2 colorless and then add a white. We'll spend it on Folk Hero, so we have a colorless floating. So Folk Hero is in play, and then we're going to add a white and a black, so we have 3 mana, and cast this Aven Mind Sensor. And when we cast this, since it shares a creature type with our commander, we get to draw a card. So we'll draw that's a hard one to say. Shine Shadow Snarl. It's not bad, we got a land there. And then also, what we're going to do is use this treasure to add a white and play Mother of Runes and throw a card away there. So the reason for spending the treasure and doing that before combat is now this increases our party count to 3 because we have Cleric, Wizard, and this counts as any one of them. So then we could go to combat and attack with our commander again, and at this point we're going to drain an opponent for 3 life and make 3 treasures, and then we could even play something else like maybe our Lion Sash. So as you can see, it's really starting to snowball here, and ideally this is how the deck would work. This is almost the dream scenario where you get early creatures to fill your party, early artifact ramp, start attacking with your thing, start getting value, making treasures, drawing extra cards, and kind of really snowballing, starting to go nuts. What really helped us though was that we did have a very good opening hand with the Soul Ring, the Lightning Greaves, so getting to attack with our commander on turn 2 is going to be pretty uncommon, I think, but this was basically the example of an ideal hand, I guess. But that's potentially how the deck might play out. Let me know what you think of the deck though. This commander has been out for a little while at this point, so I feel like quite a few people might have made this combination, and it is basically an upgrade of the Party Time deck, so I feel like this is probably the most popular commander from this set. So there are a lot of cards that I'm not playing that I could be playing. There's a lot of room for customization in a deck like this, so I'd be happy to read any comments they have regarding things like, what cards I could be playing, some cards that maybe I shouldn't be, as well as your experiences with a deck like this. If you're still watching though, thanks for watching. It'd be cool if you can like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. I'd encourage everyone to come join my Discord server. You can find a link to that in the video description below. And once again, in the video description is also where you can find my affiliate link for Dragon Shield, where you can purchase items like this playmat, as well as these sleeves and deck boxes, and pretty much all of your gaming supplies. And if you follow that affiliate link, it'll help out the channel. And I'd also just like to take a moment to thank all of the patrons who support me on Patreon. But otherwise though, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.